fun begins.
A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away.
This is Rebel Force Radio.
Your source for the Force.
Star Wars news and commentary.
With Jason Swank and Jimmy Mack.
I've seen Star Wars 500 times.
Star Wars #1!
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe. I suggest we use it.
Now it's time for Rebel Force Radio.
We would be honored if you would join us.
Oh, yeah. Welcome back to Rebel Force Radio. We're back, though it seems like we didn't really go anywhere because we've been having such a good time with our after shows, enjoying the Obi-Wan Kenobi after shows with all of you, enjoying the series, having a lot of fun with that. Is it a perfect show? No. What is? But we're having a lot of fun. And particularly a lot of fun listening to you all as you call in. So we're hoping that you're enjoying those as much as we are doing them. But it's great to be back here with Rebel Force Radio, the flagship show here of the RFR Enterprise. And we got a great show for you. We got some catching up to do, with the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. It's going to be wrapping up. It's hard to believe. It's only 6 episodes, 6 parts. It's going to be wrapping up next week. And Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen have been out making the rounds. And particularly, it's interesting to hear what Hayden has to say, because he's sort of been out of it for a while. And, his relationship with Star Wars, we were never quite sure where he stood. There was some backlash about his performance as Anakin Skywalker over the years. But we'll have some highlights about how he feels about being back in Star Wars and how he feels about this show in particular, and maybe the future of Hayden Christensen in Star Wars as Darth Vader. We'll have some clips from him. Plus, check this out. We found him, Baby Belushi. Yeah, the guy, you saw the video. This guy right here.
Let's get up.
All right, do it. There it is.
Rebel Force Radio, baby!
Yeah.
Yeah, we all but put him on a milk carton. We were trying to find this guy. We ran into him at Star Wars Celebration. Well, he found us, and so we got him in the cantina. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. And so glad that you're with us, and it's great to be with you. It's especially great to be with this guy. You know him, you love him. My good friend of yours from Chicago, like John Belushi. My good friend of yours, Jimmy Mack. Oh, wait a minute, no. He's drinking out of a milk carton. That's the other one.
Did somebody say milk carton? I have this oldie but a goodie missing. Where's Kitster? Milk carton. I remember that.
That is that's a great piece, because it actually is there's a duplicate of it at Rancho Obi-Wan.
That's right. I sent a milk carton over to Steve. I think he demanded it from us when he saw us at one of those Star Wars conventions throughout the years.
I remember, because we showed it to him, I think, on the air. Yeah. He's like, and do you have one for me?
Where's mine? Where's mine? Well, hey, there's always something for Rancho Obi-Wan. RanchoObi-Wan.org. Sure. Go there, visit Steve. Tours are happening now at the world's greatest Star Wars museum, the Mecca for Star Wars fans. RanchoObi-Wan.org. Become a member. Go on a tour. It's happening. I'm itching to get back to Rancho Obi-Wan right now myself. But all of my Star Wars attention is really turned on to Kenobi at this point. Oh, yeah. Jason, you're talking about all of this great Hayden Christensen audio highlights we have coming up later in the show this week. Prequel Jimmy Mack is back, and I'm so excited to be with him. Wow, I can't believe the prequel high has returned. A lot of people look at me and they go, oh, he's a Star Wars fan who's been there since the beginning. He has been there since 1977, and he's a dinosaur now. No, they don't say that.
Oh, who's saying that? No one is saying that.
No. Let's keep it Star Wars. He's a dewback. No. I'm kidding. I guess a Ronto. Mos Eisley Ronto might be more appropriate. I am all of the above, but what people don't understand about me is I'm also an original trilogy generation, original Star Wars generation kid who adores the prequels. And I am really finding that old prequel buzz is coming back with this Kenobi series and Hayden and Ewan. And I think maybe some older fans are missing out on that a little bit. And I don't know why they would be. Hey, listen, I went through the prequel era just like anyone else. I really kind of had blinders on to a lot of what my contemporaries were saying as far as their approach to fandom and Star Wars in the late 90s, early 2000s. But I was definitely probably notorious, actually, for my ambivalence to all of that criticism, where I sort of walked above it all with my head up in the clouds, just soaking in the prequel trilogy. I really enjoyed the whole ride. I started a family when all of that was going on, and I was seeing things from myself being reflected back in those films. And I wish a lot of original generation fans would open themselves up to more of that, especially back in that era. And I almost feel like I'm going through that era again as I listen to all these people telling me why I shouldn't like the Kenobi series. And I don't really have time for that right now because I'm on this prequel high. The prequels are back, and I'm really loving
that I think there are a lot of original trilogy generation fans that are learning to embrace the prequels as after it. Look, there's a couple of factors. First of all, there's the sequel trilogy where we got what we thought we wanted, but not really what we wanted. And then there was the Clone Wars that did a ton to really help, I think, further the prequel trilogy for a lot of fans. And then there's now, Disney Plus and the Kenobi series. And I've talked to a couple of people, I won't mention their names, who really were not fans of the prequel trilogy at all. But now they're going back and they're rewatching. They're going, this is actually pretty good. I really like this. So I think that's a testament to the timeless qualities that George has as a storyteller. Jim, you and I have talked about this on the show before. We were at the anniversary panel. What was it? The 15th anniversary
20th,
panel of Phantom Menace
in Chicago.
20th. Oh my God. 20th anniversary panel. And at the beginning of the panel, they show I think they re-showed the trailer or something for Phantom Menace. They were showing highlights, and we just looked at each other. We had the same thought at the same moment. God, they don't make these like they used to.
We said that.
They just don't make movies.
Don't make them like this anymore, do they?
Right.
That was a huge moment in RFR history, I think, which really solidified everything I had been carrying with me for 20 years up to that point. Now here we are 23 years later, looking back at the Phantom Menace. And I was unabashed in my love for that film, and it was not easy. It was not easy to negotiate fandom. One time I was having lunch with friends right in the middle of the famous Billy Goat Tavern in downtown Chicago, well known for inspiring the Saturday Night Live bit Cheeseburger, Cheeseburger, Cheeseburger. Very well known Chicago greasy spoon landmark. And the place was packed, and my friend stood up and he pointed at me and said, "You're a Jar Jar apologist." I wasn't really sure. I can't really recall where the conversation was heading at that point, but I'm sure I was. And there I was kind of arguing the fact that the Phantom Menace was some sort of masterpiece. And this was summer 1999, when that kind of line of thinking wasn't really in vogue. And I was trying to make a point, I guess, in that well-known established Chicago landmark. And I got called out on it. And the whole place just like went dead silent. It was like almost you heard the record being the arm being pulled off of the record with the needle scratching the vinyl. It was like that sort of thing. And I stood there and I said it loud and said it proud that I stood by the prequels, and I always felt they would age really well. And so here we are at a place in Star Wars history where the respect and love for the prequel trilogy is at all-time high. And more so than when it was even breaking box office records, which, by the way, it did. Even more so than because you feel the passion and the energy. And that's a lot of the things I took with me from ICCC Con in Nashville. And I took it with me from Star Wars Celebration in Anaheim after 3 years of being locked down at home with this pandemic nonsense. Not quite 3 years, 2 years, whatever. But, you know, being home and seeing the only representation of our fandom coming at us through things like social media and YouTube videos and stuff. It was so great to be there in the actual flow of the current and feeling what the temperature of the water was really like, and recognizing the fact that the Star Wars fandom, like the real legitimate fandom that's out there, like people in a
not avatars, not bots, not
none of that stuff.
Yes,
it was
real human beings.
It was crystal clear to me. It was crystal clear to me after both of those experiences, Nashville and Anaheim. And I'm here. I'm with you guys. I'm on the other end of all that stuff and just feeling so great about Star Wars and everything about it, and really just like on a high, Star Wars high.
Yes. Yes, we've got some we got some recent revelations about I guess what we would call a Rebel Force Radio meme here. You know, we love the expression "chut chut." We love it.
Chut chut, Watto.
It's one of our favorites because I had observed some time ago that the way Anakin just sort of sidles up next to Watto and just sort of says
"chut chut, Watto."
To me, I was like, this must be Huttese for what's up.
What's up,
Watto? Listen.
Chut chut, Watto.
Yeah, what's up, Watto?
It's a what's up?
Because he hadn't seen him in 10 years. And he's like, and it seems that maybe the folks at Lucasfilm, George Lucas himself, might have had a different interpretation for chut chut. So it has its origins in a couple of different places, and the number one place is in Hayden Christensen, actor Hayden Christensen's own imagination and own head. He gave an interview with the Hollywood Reporter, and the reporter Ryan Parker asked Hayden, when he looks back at his work in the prequels, is there a moment that he is particularly proud of? And I wish we had audio of this. Apparently that this conversation wasn't recorded, at least they haven't released it. And this is Hayden Christensen's reply about a particular moment that he is proud of. He says, I don't know that I have a scene that I was most proud of, but there's a scene where Anakin goes back to Tatooine in episode 2, Attack of the Clones, and speaks to Watto. And I'm like, we know that scene quite well. He said the script had dialogue written in English. And then in parentheses, it said in Wattanese. Now, I always thought it was Huttese.
Yeah.
But apparently it's its own thing. Wattanese.
He has his own language, man.
He's not even Toydaranese. You know, he's a Toydarian.
Right.
This is Wattanese. So this is like exclusive to Watto only, apparently.
Right. No, it's like when twins invent their own language.
Yes.
So maybe Watto is a twin of like Wata, and they invented this whole language between the two of them, and somehow Anakin Skywalker memorized everything.
So this is classic George. It's in the script, and it just says, so it's written in English. Now, Hayden does not reveal in this interview what was written in English in the script. He does not reveal this. He just says that it was in English in the script, and in parentheses it says in Wattanese. And he said, and it was until the day before we started filming that I went to George and I was like, what should Wattanese sound like? And he was like, well, you know, so long as it doesn't sound like English or any other language, might sound familiar, you just make it up. Make it up. So I was rushing the night before to try to figure out how to make up Wattanese. And every time I see that scene, I get a bit of a kick out of it. So he doesn't just say chut chut. This is the full clip of Hayden as Anakin Skywalker greeting Watto.
Chut chut, Watto. Ting mi chasa hopa.
Bing mi chasa hopa. This is out of Hayden's own imagination. Phenomenal. And I'm like, this is great. So Hayden Christensen actually created Chut Chut.
Chut Chut.
Well, then we got a voicemail. We got a voicemail from Rebel Force Radio listener Dominic. Dominic from Pittsburgh. And Dom. And it appears as though perhaps it doesn't mean what we thought that it meant exactly. So here we go. This is Dom. There it is. From Pittsburgh. So take it away, Dom.
What you got, Dom?
Jimmy and Jason. This is Dominic from Pittsburgh. I am currently watching a documentary on YouTube called Star Wars From Puppets to Pixels, Digital Characters and Episode 2 Documentary. And at about 23 minutes and 20 seconds, they show a clip of Watto and Anakin, and whenever Anakin says, "Chut, chut, Watto," and on the screen, you can see subtitles that say, "Excuse me, Watto." That is very interesting, and I would love to hear what you guys have to say about that. Yeah, so chut, chut might mean excuse me. All right, have a great day.
All right. Thanks, buddy. Okay, so I went to the YouTube. Now, I could have gone to my original DVD that I have of Episode 2 Attack of the Clones, which features a fantastic documentary from Puppets to Pixels. And sure enough, here it is. Right there, larger than life on the dailies. Mm-hmm. So they're watching the shooting, moments after they film it. It's being sent over almost in real time to the guys at ILM where they're doing their magic.
You're right.
And here you go. The subtitle is "Excuse me, Watto."
Yeah, it is.
Excuse me, Watto.
Chut, chut, Watto.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel that this is a little polite. I like the way Hayden thinks, because I think what Hayden did was Hayden thought, hey, this guy's a slaver. This guy's, he kept me as a slave. He kept my mom as a slave. I got to go ask this guy where mom is. I don't think he's going to say, well, excuse me, Watto. No. I'm a Jedi. So I'm going to come up to him and I'm going to be like, what's up, Watto? What's going on? How you doing? That's what I think it is. So I think Hayden might have gone a little bit different direction. Now, we don't have confirmation that the original shooting script had "excuse me."
Oh, we do.
As the dialogue.
Oh,
we do?
I have the original.
Mac has the shooting script.
And it does confirm. I'll just read through the script for you, and then we shall discuss.
Okay.
Okay. Anakin and Padme get down off of the droid rickshaw.
Oh, I didn't know where you were going with
it. Just says get. I mean, that's what it says.
They get down.
Yeah, they get down. That I filled in the part. Sitting on a stool in front of a shop is Watto. He's using a small electronic screwdriver on a fiddly droid. 3 pit droids are chattering away and trying to help him, but they only seem to make him more annoyed. Watto, no, not that one. That one, yelling in Huttese. Specifically, the script
Huttese.
says. Anakin arriving. Excuse me, Watto. Watto in Huttese. What? Anakin in Huttese. I said, excuse me. So, and then it goes on in all this dialogue here. It's actually not in the film. As a matter of fact, Anakin reiterating the excuse me is not in the final film. Anakin,
he's like, I said, chut, chut.
Yeah. That doesn't happen. Watto turns to the chattering pit droids in Huttese. Shut down. The pit droids stop and snap into their storage position. Watto, what? I don't know you. What can I do for you? You look like a Jedi. Whatever it is, I didn't do it. Anakin, let me help you with that. That's what he's saying, Jopasa Mopasa, or whatever he's saying. Right?
Yeah, that's later. That's later. So,
and he says,
the
"I'm looking for
Japossum." And that's
says,
again all Hayden Christensen making this stuff up in the moment.
And then Anakin reveals, "I'm looking for Shmi Skywalker," and then that's what gets Watto to react. Annie, little Annie, I can't. You are Annie. Hey, what it is you? But in the script it says, "You are Annie. Is it you? You little wump rats. You. Let me give you a noogie. You know." But so like there's vast differences in the script and what we see in the final film, and obviously that could come down to editing. That could come down to a number of different things that happen.
Now you say you're reading the shooting script. Where is this coming from? Is this online or is this in a book? Oh, it's online.
It's online. This is the shooting script. I know it.
Yeah, but Hayden's memory is pretty vivid here. He says it said Watanese.
It said Hutties. There is no Watanese. That's
going
Hayden.
by what Hayden Christensen said.
No, it never said that.
He was there.
No, it never said that. Now the whole chut thing. What does it mean? Does it mean excuse me? Does it mean in Russian? Chut means a little, or like slightly, hardly, narrowly, lightly. That's chut in Russian. But in Watanese, if you will, it means excuse me. Now, why are we turning it into a slug line here on Rebel Force Radio? Well, we have appropriated the chut thing to be a greeting, and it has no definition. It's just chut. It's like, what's up? Secret society. You're part of the Star Wars family. You're part of the Rebel Force Radio family. Chut means hello. Chut should be on a welcome mat. Chut is Chut wraps you up in its arms and says, "Welcome home." That's what we use chut for. So we have appropriated chut to change the actual canon of chut to mean welcome. You know, it doesn't mean excuse.
It's like you know what? I liken it to aloha. Doesn't aloha mean hello, goodbye? Right.
Yeah, Jason just cut to the chase right there. It's aloha. It's our Star Wars aloha. Chut. And it feels good to say that way. It really does. Chut. It doesn't mean excuse me. It doesn't mean lightly, slightly. It means welcome, aloha. It means aloha. It is the aloha of Star Wars. Chut. T-shirts now available.
So you can stop emailing. We love the emails, but we know we saw it. We got it. Yes, we know, but we're steadfast.
We've appropriated this for our own diabolical means. Yeah. I mean, it's really just like, is there an aloha in Star Wars? Maybe Hayden Christensen came up with it via ad lib on the set of Episode 2.
Sounds like it.
And so, so I'm very down with that. I'm very down with it. And we did say T-shirts available at rebelforceradio.com.
Yes, that's right.
And for the next big Star Wars whatever, we want to have a Chut shirt group photo. Okay.
Yes.
That's something we really should have
of that.
Yeah, we should have targeted that for Anaheim, but let's work on it for a while and let's cultivate a whole community of Chut lovers. The spirit of aloha in Star Wars is now Chut, and we shall carry that torch. Yes,
for sure. All right. So thank you very much for making us aware of it. I love that Puppets to Pixels documentary. It's great.
Yeah.
It's great. It's a classic. So if you don't have that DVD, I don't know if it's been ported over to some of the newer versions, the Blu-rays, the digital versions, but you can see the whole thing on YouTube. So check it out if you're so inclined. It's all there. So I see a note in our show outline for this week called Timeline Stuff. And I'm wondering where this comes from. So Jimmy Mack has pulled some audio from Star Wars Rebels.
Yeah.
Because there's a reference to Kenobi, which perhaps throws a wrinkle into the timeline.
I thought it would be kind of prudent to review Darth Vader's appearance in Star Wars Rebels Season 2 as we head into the final episode of Kenobi.
I believe the apprentice of Anakin Skywalker lives and is in league with these rebels.
Are you certain?
It was her.
This is an opportunity we cannot let pass. Skywalker's apprentice could lead us to other lost Jedi.
Such as Kenobi.
Perhaps, if he lives. Be patient, my old friend.
All right.
Okay.
So that's canon stuff right there.
It is.
This is actually from the Season 2, second episode of Season 2, Siege of Lothal, Part 2. I think Season 2 of Star Wars Rebels was the best and most essential. All that Darth Vader stuff is great. And it's actually edited all together so you can watch all the Darth Vader stuff. You know, Disney did that. They edited it all together to make like one episode where you can watch it all. I think you can still see it on Disney Plus and YouTube, wherever. But this is from Season 2, and this is Vader communicating with Emperor Palpatine following his discover that Ahsoka Tano is still out there. Mm-hmm. And that opens up the door to Palpatine saying knowledge of her could lead to knowledge of other Jedi. And Vader responds like Kenobi. So Palpatine then responds, if he's still alive. Okay.
Right.
So what's going on here? Is there a general feeling that Kenobi is dead, which would mean then Vader would end this season of Kenobi next week, thinking that Kenobi is dead? Or is Vader holding on to the idea that Kenobi is still alive, and it's the Emperor who believes Kenobi could be dead by this point? Or is it Vader holding out information from the Emperor?
That's it. Ding, 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 ding. We have a winner.
The Emperor is so consumed with his own power and the power of the Empire, he believes it's impossible that Kenobi could survive the attention of his agents. But Vader is holding out some sort of connection to the Force that's telling him Kenobi is still alive, or there's just something there. So
well, he knows he's still alive because we know. If we look at this canonically and chronologically, he knows he's still alive, at least as of the events of the Kenobi series. Well, yeah, I think there's precedence. Yeah, I think there's
I'm looking
precedent.
forward to the season finale. Is like, how does this thing have to wrap up?
Right. I think there's precedent of there's precedent of Vader holding back on Palpatine. I don't think he was altogether honest about he certainly wasn't honest about his feelings about Luke. And I don't know that he was even honest about, what he believed Luke to be. We talked on the after show this week about, was Vader sort of, was he feigning surprise in Empire Strikes Back when Palpatine says, I have no doubt the young rebel that destroyed the Death Star is the son of Skywalker. Right. And he's like, how is this possible? And I think that he's feigning that kind of surprise. Like, what? You think so? Because I believe that Vader, after his confrontation with Luke, we know that he became, quote, obsessed with finding young Skywalker. That's in the crawl opening of Empire Strikes Back. So why would he be so obsessed with why wouldn't he be more obsessed with finding Han Solo? I mean, Han Solo was just as much a party to the destruction of the Empire or the Death Star as Luke, but there's something about Luke. The Force is strong with this one. I think he's sensing some sort of connection, and he doesn't want Palpatine to be involved until he has a chance to figure it out and sort it out himself. Yeah. So Palpatine, sort of beats him to the punch, says, I have no doubt this is that. And Vader's, oh, how's this possible? I don't know what you're saying. I'm completely surprised by this.
Comic book canon does state that Vader learned of the existence of Luke Skywalker and his destruction of the Death Star following some recon work by Boba Fett. And so that's the Marvel comics. But live action animation, I'm really focusing on them right now and trying to get a feel for where things are happening in the dark times era of the chronology. And Rebels is really our strongest entry into that period.
Yes.
And now Kenobi. So I'm just trying to see how they sync up. And here's what I know. Is that the events of Kenobi and the events of Star Wars Rebels, they're not like overlapping or anything. Kenobi is 10 years after Revenge of the Sith, which would mean if the timeline is separating the two trilogies by 19 to 20 years, right? It falls like 9 to 10 years before the events of A New Hope. Mm-hmm. Star Wars Rebels, that story begins with Ezra on Lothal and all of that, 5 years before A New Hope. 5 years. So that would be 14 to 15 years following the events of Revenge of the Sith. Or 5 years after the events of Kenobi. So where is Vader's head? 4 to 5 years. So where is Vader's head? Where is Palpatine's head? Obviously, Vader's obsessed with Kenobi still, to a degree. But we don't really, of course, we don't know how season 1 of Kenobi is going to resolve itself.
Right.
But from that audio alone, it appears that Vader still believes Kenobi is alive, while the Emperor has serious doubts. And that's the same way it happened in A New Hope. When Vader felt a presence he hadn't felt since, and he went to report it to Tarkin, and Tarkin said, surely he must be dead by now. But Vader's like, no way, because they have that connection, that master Padawan connection. So,
which there's evidence of in the series as they're having their their respective back to tank moments.
Yes.
Some people were online trying to say that, they're a Force dyad, the two of them. There's that deep of a connection. I don't think it's that deep of a connection. I don't think you need to over-explain it and talk about dyads. I think that you can just explain it by saying it's the Padawan-master relationship. It's a very, very deep bond. That they have. I mean, look at the loyalty that Obi-Wan is still, and how Obi-Wan clings to the spirit of Qui-Gon, when by the time we see him in the Kenobi series, it's been decades since Qui-Gon had passed on. He's still holding on.
Well, he's still trying to connect with him too.
Right.
Force.
Right, exactly.
And it's a shame that he couldn't start learning to make that connection much, more sooner after the death of Qui-Gon. It seemed like there was a long period of time where Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon, there was no acknowledgement of even Qui-Gon reaching out through the Force from death. It's not till Yoda actually hears the voice of Qui-Gon. And a lot of people are speculating the final episode of Kenobi is going to feature the spirit of Qui-Gon. But I think in canon, it's been established that Qui-Gon could only break through with his voice. He couldn't present himself as a specter. He couldn't physically recreate himself. He would only be able to sort of talk. And that's why Ben, when he first crosses over into the Force, he's only able to be present to Luke via voice in the head.
Yeah.
It's
run, Luke, run.
It's not till after that Ben is actually able to
he doesn't appear to him until Empire Strikes Back. And he's also very hazy there on Hoth. And some say, well, is that a reflection of Kenobi's evolving understanding of the Force, or is that Luke's evolution of his Force abilities to be able to see through? You could interpret it either way. I tend to believe it's more representative of Kenobi's abilities than it is Luke's.
Well, see, I kind of think it's the other way around, because as Luke grows stronger in the Force, Ben starts to appear in a more physical form. At first, Luke only hears the voice. Then the spirit appears. Then Ben is sitting on logs and hanging out on Dagobah. It could appear that as Luke grows stronger in the Force, he is conjuring up the spirit of Ben.
Well,
so it's a thing.
Then if that's the case, then maybe we could see a spirit of Qui-Gon if the power resides in the person that's receiving the message from the spirit.
Bing, you nailed it. Okay, good. I'm glad we talked about this. Really excited for that season finale. No, you broke down any barrier I had toward a spirit of Qui-Gon actually appearing.
Well, see how we met each other both ways. I went on your side with it being, the power being exerted by the ghost itself, or excuse me, with the recipient of the message.
Yeah.
And it all worked out.
Yeah, we figured it out. Hey, before we get into news, I'm going to do this really quick though, because this embargo had been lifted on me. I have this book, Star Wars: Shadow of the Sith. I've really been kind of sour on Star Wars publishing for quite a while because I think that the High Republic is too. It's being crushed under its own weight. It's too many characters. It's not enough diversity in storylines. It's everyone seems homogenized and going through the same thing. And I really don't care about High Republic. I love the stuff that adds more weight and definition to certain things that we see in the feature films, and Shadow of the Sith does that, certainly for the sequel trilogy, most importantly for the Rise of Skywalker. And I know a lot of people dislike Rise of Skywalker and they'd like to see the story a little more fleshed out. This novel here actually does add a lot more to that story. I got a preview copy from Del Rey about a month ago, and I'm not finished with the book yet, and I'm not going to spoil anything here, but I can tell you that the book does provide names and background for the Palpatine clone, for Rey's mother, the two parents of Rey. They get identified. They get names. There's a backstory for them. We learn more about Ochi from Bestoon. People who've been following the Marvel comics have been seeing his story a little more fleshed out. I think if you like the Marvel comics, you're going to like this book, Shadow of the Sith by Adam Christopher. It's pretty good. It comes out in a couple of weeks. It really
June
provides
28th.
Yes, it provides a lot of backstory to what we see in the sequels. It's 2 decades after the Battle of Endor. Palpatine's forces have fled to the farthest reaches of the galaxy, so we learn a lot about what Exegol is. What's the deal with Exegol? Palpatine, how does he use the Sith arts to keep himself alive via clones and things like that? Lando's daughter being kidnapped. Luke and his search for Sith artifacts like Wayfinders, the Sith dagger Ochi has. All of
well,
this
do they
stuff.
confirm that Lando's daughter is Jenna?
No spoilers. No spoilers.
Oh, okay. Okay.
No spoilers. I want this to be a spoiler-free review. And I have not finished the book yet either, so I'm not qualified to even answer that question. But it's definitely something that's really fueling Lando. And it even has things like from The Mandalorian tied into it, like that seeing stone on the planet Tython that Din Djarin placed Baby Yoda on. We learn more about that. We learn more about that temple. All of this stuff. I mean, it really does a good job of tying in a lot of new Star Wars mythology. And hopefully it'll help bolster perception of the sequel trilogy and maybe fill in some of those gaping plot holes that exist with those films. Tie it all in together a little bit. Hey, I'm on board. Why not? I've devoted this much time to the story. I might as well try to add as many different elements, storytelling elements to my understanding of the mythology. So that's, it comes out in a couple of weeks. I've also heard really good things about the book Star Wars Brotherhood, which is about Anakin and Obi-Wan. And so I just turned myself on to that audio book. Hopefully Star Wars publishing is starting to turn things around because they've really been in the swamp for many years now with nonsensical stories, top-loaded with way too many characters, silly agendas being pushed, and a lack of understanding of Star Wars storytelling. I feel like it's coming back a little bit with a book like this. So Shadow of the Sith, recommend it. Yeah.
There you go. Nothing like a tie-in novel to tie it all in.
I have good news for you, my lord.
That's good news. Come closer, I have good news.
All right. We got quite a bit of Hayden Christensen here, so it's going to make a lot of you happy, you Hayden Christensen fans. So Hayden is, of course, making the rounds, and he's talking to a lot of different media outlets about his role in the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, and Jimmy Mack has pulled a lot for us to go through. So let's start with Cinema Blend.
Cinema Blend, they talked to Hayden about his first day on the Kenobi set, and it was a really cool experience for him. You know what the scene was? When they were on that, it was episode 3, and they're out on that planet. It was like, plains and like wheat fields and stuff. And Obi-Wan gets that vision. What was the name?
Mapuzo.
Thank you. Mapuzo. And they're walking on that trail, and Ben gets that vision of Anakin in the cloak, and he turns and he looks toward Ben, and he's got this really mean look on his face. That was actually Hayden's first day on the set. So let's go behind the scenes with Hayden Christensen. He talks about that day and what it felt like to get back in those Jedi robes.
It was so cool to get to put the Anakin costume back on again. That was actually my very first day on set was that scene that we did, and it was just a special sort of way to come back to Star Wars, looking like Anakin. Yeah, no, that was on location, and I always enjoy it when Star Wars goes on location. It sort of adds a different sort of slant to the whole thing, and yeah, I mean. Ewan was there, but he was actually wrapped for the day. They had finished his coverage, and it was just so sweet what he did. He insisted on staying to be a part of my first shot back, and yeah, it was just a very special day.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, so Ewan there to support his buddy as he officially returns to Star Wars for the first time since 2005.
Yeah, sure, the bromance is on full display here, but also Ewan is an executive producer on this show.
True.
So I wonder how much Ewan was actually hanging out on the set in those days when he wasn't really shooting too much. I wonder how much of his influence is being felt. That's something that's meant a lot to me with this Kenobi series, is the involvement of Ewan McGregor himself. Because I think he's a cool MFer, and I really support. I mean, who doesn't want to hang with Ewan McGregor? I mean,
he'd be a blast.
Cool, hop on some motorcycles and ride around with him and just soak in life, Ewan style. That's kind of what I dream about someday here on Rebel Force Radio. It's so nice to move away.
That would be.
It's so nice to move away from my fixation of getting Kanye West on RFR. Now I want Ewan McGregor on RFR. That seems much more healthy. Although I still haven't given up the Kanye thing, but whatever. So Hayden, he's everyone talks about him being visible on screen as Vader in the back to tank. He talks about, the challenges in performing in the back to tank.
Well, I was in the back to tank, fully submerged in water, and I had to hold my breath for all of that too. For some reason, I couldn't breathe through the regulator. Although when I saw you inside of it, it looked like he was actually getting oxygen through his, because you could see the bubbles going. But no, I had to hold my breath.
I think that's because he's a producer.
And I really enjoyed it. I mean, I found it very peaceful in the back to tank, and very sort of meditative. Just had a lack of oxygen. Maybe a little bit, but no, I enjoyed the whole process of getting to do the back to tank. We knew I was going to have to hold my breath for it, so I got to work with a dive instructor to help build up my breath holds. And I think when we were filming, I got my breath hold up to like 2.5 minutes, which was not bad.
No, that's good. That's good. I got a buddy.
I last about 15 seconds underwater. 2.5 minutes. Are you kidding me?
I got a buddy that's a whale trainer at SeaWorld, and he had to build up to a 3-minute breath hold.
Wow.
Underwater. 3 minutes.
Not in a bajillion years could I even do more than a half minute.
We had an RFR listener that wrote to us. I don't have it in front of me, so I can't attribute it. But he was calling out the fact that when Vader is in the bacta tank and he's getting all ticked off, that the water starts to bubble. Did you notice that? As he's getting more and more kind of amped up by the visions that he has, you see a lot of bubbles, and so it's like it's almost creating, start making the water heat up with all of his, nasty Sith thoughts, his Sithy thoughts.
That's amazing.
But I thought that was cool.
That's a great observation. I wonder if they actually incorporate that into the actual visuals of what we were seeing. I'm gonna have to rewatch that scene. This is great Star Wars here. When a fan tells you to keep your eyes open for a certain detail in a particular shot, and you watch it and it's there, and you're freaking out.
He was right.
It.
He was right. Look at that. It does bubble every time.
I don't know. I'm getting all the Star Wars feels right now. It's all hit me. I just think this is a great year for Star Wars. I really do.
It is.
We're midway through, and I'm having the time of my life with this stuff. So Hayden Christensen is as well. Naturally, I think Hayden's been sitting around waiting for this opportunity to show up for a long time. He said in several interviews that this is something, a role he always wanted to continue doing. It's something that has really meant a lot to the foundation of his career and his life as an adult. This is something that really defines him, Darth Vader. But something that's always defined Darth Vader is the voice of James Earl Jones. And we've talked a lot about this new respeecher technology that was debuted in the season 2 finale of The Mandalorian for Luke Skywalker. Now it's being incorporated again to give us all of this great Darth Vader dialogue that sounds like it was recorded in 1980 for Empire Strikes Back. I mean, just everything about the timbre, the rhythm, the sound, the expression. It's just so accurately Vader. And we played a clip of Darth Vader from Star Wars Rebels earlier in the show. And Star Wars Rebels,
very different.
Not hold a torch. I mean, you hear James Earl Jones.
Sure. Yeah.
But that guy's in his...
Let's play it. Let's play it again here real quick.
Do it.
I believe the apprentice of Anakin Skywalker lives. And
that's an older James Earl Jones there. When people get older, the way the teeth and the mouth and everything, ages, there's a kind of an older man kind of behind it.
They're saying that happens.
Yes, that happens. It even happens to James Earl Jones.
It even happens to RFR.
This
just
Kenobi Vader.
5 years.
But this Kenobi Vader is not. I mean, this Kenobi Vader is like you got in a time machine and went back to 1981, 82, 83 and heard that. It's not even the A New Hope Vader. It's like the boomy Empire Vader, like Prime Vader, I think.
Yeah.
There's a tinniness to the New Hope Vader, I feel like, compared to the boomy Vader of Empire and Jedi.
What? Obviously there were many tweaks to the formula along the way, but Empire, Jedi, that's your peak Darth Vader vocal performance.
Yes.
Obviously, A New Hope was recorded in about 45 minutes. I mean, James Earl Jones was in and out of that recording.
Was it really? I didn't never heard that.
It was one day. It was
session.
a 1 day. It was a 1 day session.
Okay.
Of ADR work for James Earl Jones.
Interesting.
Who was hardly he was known in Hollywood, but I mean he wasn't like some legendary actor or anything. I mean he was
not at all. He was mainly known as as a stage actor.
Yeah, yes.
Than anything. Yeah.
Yes. And his voice is now just so synonymous with Darth Vader. It's hard to separate the two. And we've been talking about the technology and how they brought Vader to life vocally in the Kenobi show. And there's some question marks we have. Did they bring James Earl Jones into the studio and just give him some special sauce via respeecher technology like they did with Mark Hamill? Or is this Hayden Christensen delivering the role and having it played back to him in the James Earl Jones voice circa 1980? Or is it another voice artist altogether? Who knows? Well, Screen Rant Plus had to sit down with Hayden Christensen, and they asked him specifically about the source of the Vader voice in Kenobi. And here's what Hayden had to say.
Well, the voice is James Earl Jones, and that was always, just integral to this character. Such an iconic voice. How my voice is used, I don't want to sort of give anything away, but I think they have incorporated my voice a little bit here and there.
All right, I think we're going to find out exactly how they did this when Disney Gallery for Obi-Wan Kenobi comes on.
Yes.
They'll be doing one of those, and we'll find out. By the way, speaking of voice, I mean, did they record this in a closet? What's with these podcasts that these big names go on, and they can't even get decent audio? Listen to him.
Well, the voice is James Earl Jones.
Come on, RFR, Hayden. Well, we've got proper microphones, and we use good software. We can make you sound... What is going on?
We'll make you
Where
sound
are
like
you,
Vader.
Hayden?
Yeah,
right.
But he leaves the door open there at the end where he says, I think my voice was incorporated. Well, you know why you think that, Hayden Christensen? Is because you recorded all the dialogue and you know exactly what happened.
Yes.
I really think it was Hayden Christensen delivering these lines.
Yeah, and we know that Hayden was a student of the Vader cadence.
Yes.
The Vader vocal cadence, which we got a lot of props for this discussion, Jim, we had on the show a couple years ago. We were talking about how, some people would criticize Hayden's performance, saying it was very wooden, it was very stilted. But we found, and I had always surmised that he was trying to get down that, I am trying.
Yeah.
Don't say that, Master. He was trying to get down he was trying to get that down, and it was confirmed. I don't know if it was you or if it was a listener that dug up an old interview with Hayden where he actually admitted that was an influence on how he approached the role. So.
Yeah, I'm looking for that actual piece of audio right now, and if I can't find it for this show, we'll play it back next week or in the weeks following. Oh, next week we're just doing the Kenobi season finale after show.
It's going to be
there's not going to be a weekly RFR next week. We really need to focus on the season finale. I mean, this is going to be a big deal. I think the events that happen in this episode of Kenobi is really going to have repercussions on us as Star Wars fans forever. And it's going to be a lot to think about. So I've been getting some really interesting new takes on the mythology based on little tidbits of information that have been spilled out for us in the previous 5 parts of Kenobi. So I'm expecting something big from the season finale, and I'm sure we're going to get it. I mean, everything has been pointing in this direction, and I just really want to see Anakin / Vader and Ben kind of talk it out a little bit. I don't even want to see a duel so much. I want to see these guys air some dirty laundry. I want this to be like the Dr. Phil show, I want them sitting there like Maury, and they're sitting up there. Maury Povich is like, so how did you feel after he sliced off your arm and your legs? Well, let me tell you, Maury, there's a lot of emotions tied up into something like this, and I'm happy I have the opportunity on this platform to really air it all out, But I don't want it to be like Dad so much, but I want some real character friction between the two of them. We haven't had that. We've seen the two of them individually deal with the friction. I want to see them deal with it mono.
Yeah, they hinted at it, what have you become? I am what you made me.
Right. So we've really scratched the surface. Let's scratch beneath the surface now. That's what I want.
Let's get down to it. Interesting that he is well, he may very well be pouring it on, knowing Kenobi as well as he does, that Kenobi would be carrying some guilt. But, who does he hate more, Palpatine or Kenobi? I think it's a toss-up. I think Vader has some real hatred of Palpatine, and Palpatine knows it, and that's what's making Vader powerful, and by extension, Palpatine powerful, is the hatred.
What a vortex these Darksiders find themselves in.
Yes.
That's like the most compelling stuff. Like the most compelling stuff. Vader hating on Palpatine. Palpatine trolling Vader constantly. That's the stuff I
building
really
that hatred.
Yeah, I want to see that explored a lot. And
well, that's why we need a Vader series, man.
Yeah,
we really
Vader
do.
Series.
We need a Vader series.
We need a Vader series. Yes.
What's Hayden think about that?
I don't know. Let's ask him.
What's next for Vader? Is he going to get his own spin-off?
I don't know about that. I'm not sure what they have in store for this character, but I would love to get to continue with him.
I was going to say, if that were in the works, would that be something that you would want to
Yeah.
out?
Sign me up.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's been waiting to come back. He's been waiting to come back to Star Wars for years and years. And as long as this gravy train can keep rolling for him and us fans, I mean, this is stuff we want.
Why not?
So, sign him up for the Vader thing. And it's just been great for Hayden to come back to the role. And this guy, he has this YouTube channel, Jake's Takes. We featured him before on the show, and he always asks some really good questions. He asked Hayden a good question. He asked Hayden what the biggest difference is between day one of his first day of shooting in Star Wars on Attack of the Clones. What's the biggest difference between that day compared to the final day of shooting on Kenobi? I thought that was a really clever question, and let's hear how Hayden responded.
Certainly when I started on Attack of the Clones, everything was brand new, and I was still getting to know this character. Now I've spent so much time with him, and even over the years when I wasn't playing Anakin, it's still a character that has stayed with me. And my last day on Obi-Wan, I don't know, it's been a very emotional journey for me. I'll say that.
Emotional.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He dealt with a lot of negativity in the wake of his performance in the prequel trilogy. And there's been a lot written. There's been a lot said about how nice it's been to see the fan base like do a 180 and accept him and provide a lot of warmth for his return to Star Wars. Obviously, Ewan McGregor, very positive influence on all that as well. And, I can't help but think that Hayden is a guy who's kind of been to hell and back when it comes to Star Wars. Yeah. And it's nothing that he ever let leave him. And it's something he's taken hard over all of these years. And it's great to see him back.
Yeah, I agree. Newcomer to the Star Wars universe, and who, well, spoiler alert, made his reappearance on the series this past week is Rupert Friend. Yes. I've been a fan of Rupert Friend since I started watching the series Homeland on Showtime, and he plays a covert ops guy named Quinn, and he was immediately likable in that role. And so I was excited to see him show up in a Star Wars piece. And it seems like he's pretty excited about, being in the Star Wars universe.
Of course. And when he got killed off, we're like, oh, that's got to be the biggest fake out of all time. I mean, he has to come back because we know the canon. We know that the character survives to be in season 1 of Rebels.
Right.
But so he's on Jimmy Kimmel last week, and this is before the part 5 of Kenobi had even aired. So it's still a mystery about his death, right? And Jimmy asks him flat out about it, and Rupert gives us pretty much what I would have to assume is the canon explanation for how this dude survived the lightsaber through the gut.
Your character got stabbed.
Yeah.
Through the stomach.
One of them.
One of the stomachs.
Yes.
Okay. because your character has two stomachs,
That's correct.
like a hippo or something.
Half
like
a
that.
cow, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, wait a minute. So he's got an extra stomach. This is the thing you don't know about these guys. There's precedent in the real world.
Yeah,
animals with more than one stomach, and so
every Star Wars fan should understand that his species, the species from which the Grand Inquisitor is born from, is
he's a pawn.
He's a pawn from Utapau. Powin. He's a Powin. He's an Utapauan. Let's just call him that.
Okay.
He's from Utapau. He's a Powin from Utapau. He's an Utapauan. And they have two stomachs because, as everyone knows who's a Star Wars fan, on Utapau, you have first dinner and then you have second dinner. And every Star Wars fan knows this. It's, of course we know. I mean, it's really part of our bloodstream.
It's Star Wars 101. Yes. I mean, come on. Did you
Has it
watch
ever
the
been
movies?
actually explained in anything other than Wikipedia that these cats have two stomachs? I know it did not come up in Star Wars Rebels. I know it did not come up in Revenge of the Sith. And those are the only two Star Wars stories in which we've seen.
If you have warriors with more than one stomach, now is the time. I think that was the original line.
I have a bad feeling in one of my stomachs, said Tion Medin. Shut up. No, you didn't.
What was that guy's name from Revenge of the Sith? The Utapauan that we
Tion
met?
Medin.
Battle droids.
Tion Medin.
with the teeth and the head, and he looked like he was made out of corduroy.
Played by Bruce Spence from Road Warrior.
Yeah, Bruce Spence. Yeah. Thousands of battle droids.
So everyone knows they have two stomachs. Of course, Rupert Friend knows this. Jimmy Kimmel knows this. Yeah. And everyone who listens to RFR knows this because we're hardcore Star Wars fans. And every morning when we get out of bed, we say, Utapauans have two stomachs. And that's what really informs our fandom. But I mean, that's the loophole they're using. Is that these cats have two stomachs, and so he just took the blade. But I mean, who doesn't get shot in the stomach anymore in Star Wars streaming? You got Fennec Shan, shoot her in the stomach, make her bionic. She's fine.
Yeah, she's a mod.
Stick the blade right through the Grand Inquisitor's stomach and say, "I'm the Grand Inquisitor." No, you're not. Two stomachs. So what is the excuse for Reva? Vader puts her own blade right.
She doesn't even
right up in there, and
she doesn't even have a stomach. She's got no
that
stomach.
explains it all. Yeah, you cannot destroy any internal organs if there are none. She doesn't have a stomach. She doesn't have a heart. She doesn't have lungs.
No.
She doesn't have a spleen. No. She doesn't
That's
have.
for weak. That's for lesser weak people.
So that's what's going on with Rupert Friend. He also had to wear a lot of makeup to be the Grand Inquisitor.
Well, some people say it wasn't enough makeup,
I was watching Star Wars Rebels, and I don't see when I watch those episodes, I don't notice his skull is like a cone head. I think that was all kind of manufactured because this is a live action Inquisitor. I mean, this is a guy with, why did his head have to be elongated? I don't understand why this need from some people in the fan base to see this sort of animation to real live action accuracy. It doesn't exist anywhere in Star Wars.
Right. No, you're right. In fact, often it doesn't go this way. It goes the other way. You see a character in live action and then they become animated and they take some artistic license. I mean, look at the wooden hair of the Clone Wars characters. Look at how the Wookiees in Rebels and in Clone Wars were animated. I mean, they didn't look any more like the film version of Chewbacca than you and I do, for crying out loud. They were very exaggerated.
In Rebels, I agree. In Clone Wars, I think they actually did mocap on.
They did for the walk, but the design, it was very hard to get all that hair. Hair is one of the most difficult things to animate, to create via computer graphics. But if you look at this vision or this image we have up on the screen for those that aren't, if you're not an All Access Patreon member, you're missing out here. But if you look at from the eyebrows down, it's a very close that stare. The way the eyes and the mouth and the nose, I think it really does have a Rupert Friend kind of vibe. I do.
There's a consistency enough so where I understand who the character is and what the character is supposed to be representing.
Yes, and that's what matters.
And that is all that matters. And then you have a talent like Rupert Friend who can bring that character to life. Who cares how elongated his skull is? Get a life.
Yeah,
channeling my inner Shatner right there, but which I shouldn't do because oftentimes I say often listen. Just before anyone gets offended by me saying that, oftentimes I look in the mirror and say the same thing to myself. So, like I said, nobody gets off scot.
We're all a family here, folks. I've often operated from the standpoint of you can talk about your brother, your cousin, your uncle, your aunt, whatever. You can say whatever you want about them to other members of the family. Someone outside the family says that, well, it's war. So
that's right.
Look, if you're in the family,
and we're all in the same family here, and
you can say whatever you want about us, and you often do.
Yeah, but so Rupert Friend. You might want to criticize how the character looks on screen, but you have no idea what kind of hell this actor went through to bring this character to life to you visually. And I get bored with Star Wars interviews when the interviewer asks the interviewee about things like the wardrobe and the makeup and all that. Oh, it must have been such a chore to wear that Wookiee costume. I could see Peter Mayhew's eyes rolling up in the back of his head every time anyone asked him.
Was it hot?
Yeah. Things like that. The challenge of wearing the 3PO thing. But yet, Jason, you and me, we've done hundreds of interviews with Star Wars actors and stuff. And every once in a while, I find even myself falling back on that question, just there's a lull and... So that costume you wore must have been a real bitch, huh? You find yourself saying that. And every once in a while, it will bring out an interesting story. And Rupert Friend talks about the makeup he had to wear to become the Grand Inquisitor. And he relays a story that I've never heard ever as far as like actors wearing prosthetics and makeup and things. Rupert relays this story. It's like downright disgusting. And that's why we have to play it for you here on Rebel Force Radio. Take it away, Rupert Friend.
It's like a kind of boiled egg vibe. But basically they had to put, all these pieces of stuff on and contact lenses in and teeth in and then earmuffs. So it's kind of like sensory deprivation at times. And then by the end of a day's shooting, the whole thing, which was glued, watertight glued, was filled with sweat and would slosh as I walked. So this is accompanying this kind of sloshing sound. And then to get out of it, they get a pair of scissors and cut you out. And this torrent of sweaty glue would just fall down my face.
It's like having an aquarium on your head.
A little bit, yeah.
So it's not all glamorous, is what you're saying.
No, it's definitely a mixed bag.
I'm sure.
A mixed bag of glue and sweat. I've never heard anything like that happen anytime. They cut him out of that head in like glue, a mixture of glue and sweat.
Imagine what that smelled like. God almighty. Hayden Christensen was talking with the Hollywood Reporter about, they asked him about the costume, and he says, well, they seem to make improvements every time they build one of these.
Right,
so
I saw
it's
that.
a little bit lighter. It's a little bit cooler. But yeah, it's still really hot.
Oh my God.
It's still hot,
unbelievable.
folks.
You know what was really hot was this guy we met at Star Wars Celebration. I mean, to me, he was the fan of the event. His name is Galactic Bluto, aka Baby Belushi. And you heard us talking about him on Rebel Force Radio when we did our Star Wars Celebration after show recap. We showed you the video of this uncanny John Belushi lookalike who had invaded Star Wars Celebration Anaheim. Instead of wearing the shirt that said college, like John Belushi as Bluto wore in Animal House, he was wearing a shirt that said Galactic Academy. And when we met him, he was put to the task to crush that beer can up against his forehead, just like John Belushi did in Animal House. And this man did not back down. We shot video of him. It's been extremely popular on all the social medias. New York radio stations have been raving about our find at Star Wars Celebration Anaheim. Baby Belushi, Galactic Bluto. We called him Galactic Belushi at first, but then I found him on Instagram at Baby Belushi. Actually, he found us. And it's so great to be able to have an opportunity to bring him into the cantina because,
where else would you talk to him?
Where else would you talk to the guy who is paying tribute to John Belushi, who looks exactly like he did circa Animal House and takes his act on the road with beer cans crushing against his forehead? So let's go into the cantina. Let's pull up a chair and talk to Baby Belushi.
Star Wars Cantina.
Where are you going, Master?
For a drink.
Sorry about the mess.
You will never find a more wretched hive of scum and villainy. We must be cautious.
And here he is right now, Rebel Force Radio's own Baby Belushi, joining us for the first time properly on Rebel Force Radio. Welcome, buddy. Good to see you.
Chut, fellas.
Chut.
Oh, it's really good to see you guys. Yeah, man. I just had a blast out in Anaheim and
it looked like you were having a good time. I mean, and this is not a coincidence. Like you resembling the late, great John Belushi, which absolutely floored all of us, but particularly Jim's brother, Billy Mack, who's such a fan of John Belushi, growing up in the same area and all of that. So he was just like on Star Wars overload, and then here comes Belushi, and worlds were colliding. But like, how did you cultivate this? Obviously, you're a fan.
It's a Carrie Fisher multiverse.
It was. But how did you cultivate this thing?
You know, man, I've always looked like Belushi. It's funny because you could gauge people's ages by people who are like, "Hey, fuck, it's Belushi," or "Hey, it's Bobby Moynihan."
You approached me on the convention floor earlier in the day, and when you walked up with some of your buddies, I was like, "Oh my God, it's Bobby Moynihan." What the hell?
You were saying like a recent episode of your show that you get confused for Jeffrey Dean Morgan a lot, right?
That happened once, maybe twice.
I thought it was like everywhere you go, like you.
No, I wish it was. Maybe people are thinking it, but no.
But I get Bobby Moynihan like that, but like when I was just out there, I went to the Disneyland thing, the Galactic Night,
Galaxy's Edge. Disneyland. Oh no, the event,
the Star Wars
event
night.
Thing.
Yeah,
I wound up going alone because some of my buddies I was with, my buddy Red 5 Strong, that was who I was with earlier. He got sick. I wound up going all by myself. I was like, this is crazy, which was weird because I got to sit on rides by myself, and you could see other families Like sometimes it'll be like they could sit in the cart and fit with me, but they looked at me and they were like, "No, we'll take the next one." but some dude in Disneyland, he grabs me. He was like, "Take a picture with me." I don't know where this dude was from, and I'm like, "All right, man, like I'll take a picture with you." And he's like, "No, selfie." I was like, "All right, come on, dude." And I take a picture with him. And he's like, "Thank you, Bobby Moynihan." I was like, "Yeah, tell your friends I fucking said hi. Tell them Bobby said hey." But
so I was thinking that at first. And there's obviously a similarity between Bobby and John that goes beyond the fact that they were both on SNL. I mean, but when you turn on the Belushi thing, though, that takes things to a whole different level. And so we met briefly there, and I'm mad I didn't take a selfie. Did we do any pictures or anything? What the hell? I can't find.
We only have this video. Of course, Rebel Force Radio listeners have seen and heard this.
Let's get up.
All right, do it. There it is. Beer down, crushed on forehead.
Wait for it.
Rebel Force Radio, baby.
Yeah. Yes. And with that, you did go down in RFR history. In the Hall of Greatness. Now, the funny thing is, this was pretty much how we ended the convention because we didn't attend on Sunday. That's when we went to Galaxy's Edge. So I
wouldn't with you guys. Shit.
That would have been a blast. But what happened was we come out the doors and you saw us there and you met us at the doors as we were leaving the convention center. And I just felt Billy Mack. There's something about being kids who grew up in Chicago in the 70s and 80s and our connection with John Belushi, like we loved it. Belushi grew up about 20 minutes away from where I'm at. He's out more in the suburbs. But I mean, there's just like always been this connection we felt as kids with John Belushi. He was like our god. And then and Billy was so affected. Billy was so affected when Belushi died. He held onto that front page of the Chicago Tribune and had it on display on his desk for years and years. He probably still has it, if I know him. And we would even dress up like Blues Brothers and stuff when we were kids. It was the 80s. And so I felt this, when you met us at the door, I felt this energy coming off of Billy. This like, oh my God, what a surreal moment. This is happening here because I immediately, I called you Galactic Belushi because you were wearing that shirt. What did that shirt say?
Well, Imperial Academy instead of college. But sometimes I'll go around as either, I call it Galactic Bluto or Space Jake. It depends what city I'm in. And I'm going to tell you real quick, I feel that energy off of people. It's so fucking weird, and it's great. And I try to bring it back, and I'm like, it's a positive thing. You feel positivity, and people go, "You look great," and I always just go, I don't even say thanks. I go, "No, you look great. Get out of my fucking face." And they're like, "Oh," but like this all actually started. Like I've always looked like John Belushi. I've always been doing comedy. It's just a thing, but I never really embraced it. Until kind of recently, I did. There was this this crew I was friends with called the Minions of Gozer. I'm a big Ghostbusters guy too. They would do like a Ghostbusters shadow cast, like a Rocky Horror Picture Show, and I kind of like linked up with them, and I would like open their show, do like a little like loose kind of like stand up thing, and then me and the guy who plays Venkman would do a Blues Brother. We would do Soul Man, and it was loved. It was cool. I have friends that do like a annual toga party. Sometimes I'll go as like Bluto, but it didn't really become like a thing to do at like a celebration until Chicago 2019. I was like, you know what, man? I was like, I never dress. I'm not a guy who dresses up at a convention. Like it's not really like my thing.
Right.
But I was like, dude, I'm going to Chicago. I was like, I have my Blues Brothers suit. I could just throw on a Star Wars tie and go with Space Jake. And it fucking hit, man. I don't know. I don't think I saw you guys out there. The last time I saw you guys was Anaheim 2015. I was actually at your party, but I was fucked up.
Oh, you were at the bash.
Yeah, I didn't know you went to the bash.
Oh man, yeah. Too bad we didn't know you.
2015 in Anaheim. That was
2015.
2015.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, not at this past bash, not at the rooftop bash. It's 2015.
No. That Anaheim one was a pretty damn good one, I thought. Yeah.
Tarkin. Yeah, so that's me. That's a picture of me dressed as Jake with some random chick dressed like Stay Puft Marshmallow chick, and those are my sons.
Oh, they look great.
Wesley and Wyatt. Thank you. Yeah, Wesley's dressed as Ray Stantz, and Wyatt's dressed as Elwood. I'm dressed like Jake. That was the day we met Aykroyd together. We went to one of his vodka signings.
yeah, right.
And
how does he react when he sees you?
Well, that was the second time I met him. I don't know if he remembered me, but he gets blown away. But the first time he was sitting there, and he was just sitting there signing the autographs, you know, as these guys do at these things.
Yeah.
And when he saw me, he stood up, and he didn't stand up for anybody. He goes, "You look like a very old friend of mine." Like, I was like, "Thank you." And like we hugged and took a picture. And at the time, my dad, who's not around anymore, but he was there with me that day, and he had the shakiest hands in the biz because it's like the most blurry photo that could have been. But I still love the picture because it's like.
Yeah, your dad took it, and you've got that great memory. Wow.
You know, with the technology, they could probably clean that up nowadays, you know.
Maybe.
Find the image in there. I don't know. I keep seeing stuff online all the time about photos that were touched up that were completely terrible to begin with. So, hey, you never know. They might find the pixels in there.
I have the more recent one of me actually dressed like Jake with him, which is like, oh, cool. Oh, excuse me. Oh, yeah.
Bluto is here, ladies and gentlemen. Galactic Bluto is in the house.
Follow Chris, by the way, at Baby Belushi on Instagram.
Yeah.
And here, of course, here you are as the samurai.
Yeah,
really
that was
uncanny.
a Halloween. See, that was Chicago. That was 2019.
Okay, there you are. And you got the Star Wars tie. There's Galactic.
Yeah.
We're going through the pictures here on Instagram here at Baby Belushi on Instagram.
Toga.
Oh, there you are in the toga. Well, you cover all the Belushi bases.
That's me actually sleeping. Somebody took a picture of me out cold on a curb with a beer still in my hand. Like whatever time in the morning, they found me.
Wow. That's you?
Just me smoking a doober. Yeah, that's me.
But I mean, you look... God, you look so much like John in that picture.
It's
weird. That is uncanny. As my friend from WRAT in New York, Eastside Dave, friend of Rebel Force Radio, he caught the video we posted, and you got a headline on the 95.9 website: "Uncanny John Belushi lookalike seen at Star Wars Celebration pounding a beer." Boy, Eastside Dave really knows how to write those headlines, doesn't he? And he writes, he writes, "Was it over when the Galactic Empire bombed Pearl Harbor? Hell no!" I got to give credit to the podcast Rebel Force Radio for capturing this awesome lunatic at Star Wars Celebration recently. The guy's a spitting image lookalike of John Belushi from Animal House and even has an Imperial Academy sweatshirt on, replacing Belushi's iconic college sweatshirt from the movie. So I would love it if you, me, Swank, and Eastside Dave got together in Manhattan sometime and partied up, man. That would be a ball. I mean, we should do a live show from New York.
Oh, the day job sends me out there once in a while. So
yeah. So I'm banking on that.
Yeah.
We could stay a couple extra days. Yeah.
It's a real
party with Baby Belushi and Eastside Dave. Chris, a dream come true.
I'm interested.
Yeah.
You said that it was something that you didn't embrace right away, but you know later you did. So does that mean that you weren't always a Belushi fan? You knew there was resemblance, and sometimes when you resemble a celebrity, it doesn't. You know, sometimes it's a compliment, sometimes it's not. But this is a guy that is so beloved across multiple generations now. But there was a time where you weren't all that into it.
No, not that much. So it's just I just didn't embrace the idea of like a cosplay or dressing up as somebody. You know what I mean? Like to me, it just like didn't really. I don't know. It didn't really seem like just something to do. I don't know. Just didn't really pop into my you know.
Yeah, but as a guy who's worked in comedy as a comedian, was it a benefit to resemble such a legendary comic, or was it
without a doubt? It definitely got me, you know, into different places and stuff. Definitely, and I kind of have that type of personality too. So.
When did the light bulb turn on and you said, hey, this is something I could cultivate and have a good time with?
Probably college.
Imperial Academy, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
so this is something you've been doing for a while. I mean, and you're having a lot of fun with it, and it's great. And I'm so happy. You were our favorite Star Wars fan of the whole week. I remember we all said like in unison as we were walking away from that last day at Star Wars Celebration. What a great way to end it. That's what we're saying. What a great way. Now here's the question though.
Yeah.
How come we didn't like spend time together after that happened? I mean, as soon as you said Rebel Force Radio, baby, I really have no memory of interacting with you after that.
He just disappeared into the crowd like Jesus. Yeah, Jesus just passed through, and we never saw you again.
It was like Homer Simpson going back into that cornfield. It was like that.
Yeah, I'm a meme now. I'm just a fucking meme now. No. Seriously, when I ran into you at the doors, I was outside for a while. I was like taking pictures with people. I was smoking a joint with a guy dressed like Mace Windu. It was like the best. It was fucking killer. So,
again, how we didn't hang out longer, I still don't understand. Right? I can't understand what happened here.
So I was actually running back into the convention center to get another beer because they weren't selling beer in those trucks. Those like the food truck. You had to go inside and pay $8 a fucking beer. So as I was running into you guys, and you guys were like, I was like, come on, come back. I actually grabbed my buddy's beer, drank his beer on that video, then ran back and got myself a beer and him a beer. Excuse me. But I think a bunch of people had the same idea as me, like, let's get some more beer for the road. And it was just like just a beer line. And I was like, this is pretty miserable.
Goodness.
I missed like a whole, I probably missed like a good 20, 25 minutes standing on a beer line of all these desperate Star Wars nerds. Like, I gotta get my last beer. Like, I know, man.
All right. Well, we you know, the Belushi connection is obvious, but let's talk about your Star Wars fandom and where that began.
I'm a late 70s kid, you know what I mean? I born in 78. I'm gonna be 44 this year. So Star Wars was just what I was raised on. Star Wars was my other parent. You know what I mean? Like Star Wars really helped raise me. I'm a freelance artist, like by trade. That's what I do. My first memory of anything I've ever drawn in my life, my first ever illustration I could ever remember was using Craypos. Remember Craypos?
Oh yeah.
In like
real oily crayon.
Yeah, real gross.
Very oily.
And for the perfect day, I was drawing a very oily, gross Jabba the Hutt. Like I was drawing like that scene. The first thing I remember drawing was that scene from Jabba's Palace. My favorite Star Wars scene of all is that whole Jabba sequence. I don't know what really tickled my tits.
Well, I think I'll tell you what, Chris. I was born right around the same. So I was born in August of '77. And so I'm sort of the Return of the Jedi kid. I mean, I have vague memories of Empire. Yeah. So for us, that Jabba's Palace, that's our cantina.
Word. Exactly. I'm Lopty neck all the way.
Yes.
Jason. Like, I just don't give me anything else. I don't give me Jedi rocks, nothing. Boba Fett flirting with chicks. I don't just give me Lopty neck. Give me that greasy Muppet Star Wars.
we have the Jabba's Palace, which is our cantina. And honestly, for us, I think the Star Destroyer flying overhead is Vader's entrance in Return of the Jedi when that landing ramp comes down and the steam and Vader comes out. You know, as a 6-year-old, that was unforgettable.
Yes, 1,000%.
And that voice that just boomed over the speakers in the theater. I can still feel it.
I really enjoy hearing the stories of you guys who are, you know, kind of the next wave of Star Wars fans compared to, you know, crusty old me born in the 60s. And I grew up, you know, with Star Wars. Star Wars was designed for me. I mean, it was targeted toward young boys, families, of course. But really, the young boys aged 8 to 12 were firmly in the crosshair of George Lucas and Star Wars in general, and it had a massive impact on me. And
I just got it down the line. I wound up getting He-Man. Like that was the same thing.
The He-Man
thing, something else. Yeah,
I did. He-Man is about when I checked out of childhood altogether. I remember watching the first season of He-Man. I actually did watch that, but that's as far as I never made it to Transformers. By that point in time, I had checked out.
At least had a plot line. He-Man was just like goofball, like just stupid. Transformers at least had a plot line. It went somewhere. They put out a movie that was kind of relevant.
I'm not comparing the two. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I saw some of this.
What do you think? What do you think we are, Chris? A couple of nerds? What do you think we talk about this stuff?
Heaven forbid.
But you know, nerdy stuff is kid stuff. And there's nothing wrong with staying connected with your youth. As a matter of fact, I think it's the most damn healthy thing you can do. But it does represent our youth because of all the platforms, comic books, animation, action figures, and all this stuff. I mean, it was originally designed for kids. Now, we grew up. We are part of the youth culture, the youth generation that brought all this stuff into adulthood with us. And I think we're aging really, really well. And that's a result of us being connected to our youth, but it's still part of being a kid. And as you start to grow older, you separate yourself from all of that stuff because you want to prove yourself as an adult. And so that's what I mean when I was shifting away from that stuff, He-Man, Transformers and stuff. That was all coming up at a time when I was going into high school, and it was all about cars and partying and everything.
Yeah,
and so I separated myself from that. It was around my junior year in high school when I said, well, you know, this Star Wars thing, I spent a lot of time working on this throughout the 70s and 80s. This is something I really need to dive back into and bring into adulthood with me. That was always the plan, you know?
Mm-hmm.
When I was a kid, I knew I was going to be an adult Star Wars fan, which is weird. I was a kid of the 70s, and I knew I was going to be an adult Star Wars fan. But yet, after Empire and Jedi came and went, and it's 1983, 84, 85, to me, Star Wars was as dead as a doornail. There was no pulse there. But you guys who came up after me, the kids who were
we had an Ewok cartoon and
well, not even that. Let's not water down what I'm trying to say here. I'm saying the original trilogy had this energy and this pulse and this power that me, even as the most hardcore Star Wars fan growing up, target audience, Star Wars kid, by the time I was starting to segue into adulthood, I wasn't thinking about it anymore because it wasn't there. It wasn't present for me. It wasn't presenting me with any fresh new material. And then I hear from you, Chris, and Swank for years. You guys are telling me how during those years, that's like, you know, you guys were being like injected with Star Wars. You were being infused with it. And I didn't know any of this stuff was happening. I didn't think there was any pulse to Star Wars during that time. And I love hearing these stories.
Yeah, I was playing with my Star Wars action figures into the early 90s. I still was as a kid. And then you know, and then it just became kind of obvious that, well, it appeared obvious at the time that it just wasn't coming back. And
you know what ignited me kind of was like, I guess it was a period you fall out of it because there's nothing new, like you're just saying, like the late 80s kind of, and then those Timothy Zahn books hit. I remember I was in high school, and I went to high school in Manhattan. From Staten Island, I would have the worst commute ever. It was a bus to a train to a boat to a subway to walking. It was like planes, trains, and fucking automobiles to get to school every day. It was out of control. And those Timothy Zahn books just boom, they hit me. Like I started reading those then, and then I started buying the Indiana Jones books. Like Parallel Delphi, all these like weird, like all these stupid Indiana Jones, like just to initiate something Lucasy, like give it to me, give me something Lucas. But that kind of kicked it back up for me, and then like Shadows of the Empire started happening. Kenner was putting out toys again. You're like, whoa, what's going on? You know, video games are popping up here, and then all of a sudden the special editions, and then you hear about moon movies, and then boom, it was right back into me. It was like just mainlined right back into me.
Yeah. I remember all of those feels, especially with the Timothy Zahn book.
Yeah. Oh, and the Dark Horse comic, all that.
Oh, Dark Horse. All of these little things. I mean, to me, there is important milestones to my fandom is any film release or anything like that. It's like, wow, I remember where I was when I first found the Dark Horse Star Wars comics. I remember where I was when I first bought Heir to the Empire. I walked into Crown Books like thinking it was some obscure publication no one would ever excuse me, sir. I found myself saying to the clerk, excuse me, sir, there is a novel out entitled, it's by Mr. Timothy Zahn. It's entitled Heir to the Empire. Have you heard of it? He's like, the new Star Wars book? And he points at the best. He points at the bestseller wall, and there's a whole row of them up on the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when you realize that you were not alone.
Yeah,
there were others like
I felt
you.
very alone. In the early 90s, it was a lonely feeling being a Star Wars fan. We were so starved.
Tell my kids. It's weird. I tell my kids, I'm like, you walk into Target and there's Star Wars t-shirts all over the place. I'm like, I remember like you would never, you'd see maybe a guy in a comic shop wearing a Star Wars t-shirt and you'd nod at him and he'd nod at you. And that, it was like a secret club.
A secret society.
Yeah. Now there's
it's
Star Wars
so
shirts everywhere. I mean, I can't walk out of my house without seeing someone wearing a Star Wars shirt. And I refrain from saying to myself, like, Star Wars and giving a thumbs up. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. But I want to do it all the time.
Yeah, how could you not?
That's the secret society part. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a beautiful thing. It's Star Wars. It's just
Well,
a beautiful
Chris,
thing.
we're about to, once again, Baby Belushi on Instagram. And so please follow him. The photos, if you go through, you're just going to be blown away because every one, it's like gets closer and closer to the real thing. But you're also, in addition to looking like John Belushi, you have a great personality of your own. You got a great, passion and love for Star Wars. But I think we're gonna put it to the test here. Are you ready for this? I don't know if Mac tipped you off on this, but we have a little something that we do, and I got to tell you, this is kind of an honor because we don't just do it for any guest. You have to really, no, seriously, you really got to kind of prove yourself to us here at RFR. It's this thing we call
the Yoda questionnaire.
That's right, the Yoda questionnaire. Right. These are questions that were provided to us by the Venerable Jedi Master himself via fax. All the way.
You ever hear of
Dagobah.
Richard Cheese there?
Yeah, I know. I've heard of Richard Cheese. Yeah, of course.
That was Richard doing the. Play it again, Jason.
Oh, get out of here! Really?
The Yoda questionnaire.
Beautiful.
The one and only.
That's a beautiful thing. Yeah, talented dude.
Very inspirational. Very inspirational.
Yeah. All right.
So we're gonna put you in the hot seat, okay? And we're gonna go ahead. And so, yeah, you got to prep for this. I see you're getting ready right now.
My death stick.
Boy, if I die an untimely death, I think Jimmy Mac just found himself his next co-host of Rebel Force Radio here.
Yeah, we're gonna take the ship down.
Well, you are.
It'll be the first and last episode of Rebel Force.
Yeah.
or it'll be one really long episode that just never ends.
Never ends. I've had some interviews with Daniel Logan that went the same way.
I can imagine.
Yeah, man.
All right. So the Yoda questionnaire. All right. Are you ready for this, Chris?
Hit me, Jason.
All right. Who or what? Because we got to be inclusive here, Who or what is your favorite Star Wars character?
Man, that's rough. Because it depends on the mood, the feeling, like what movie.
Well, where are you? Where are you right now?
This can be right now. It's like we're taking your Star Wars temperature right now.
Yeah. What's your pulse, man?
Oh, that's tricky because Obi-Wan, and it's given me like flashbacks of things I love about the prequels. But I can't say that's definitively where any of my favorite characters dwell. But I do love me a Qui-Gon. My son's middle name is Liam, like my oldest son. Like I love a Qui-Gon. Qui-Gon's my favorite Jedi. Can I say
nice?
That?
Okay, that works. That's fine.
That's a great answer, man. That comes straight from the heart. Oh yeah, sure,
There you go.
It's quite touching, Because most people say Arter, but you're saying it's actually me. You know, a lot of Mace Windu lovers out there, sure, you know. But, hey, Qui-Gon approves, my friend.
Now
Oh,
is
yeah,
not
sure
the
you
time for this.
I guess I got if I had to you got a gun to my head, you got a blast in my head. I got to say it's Han Solo.
Oh, all right. So, all right, Han Solo. Okay.
I have to say.
Qui-Gon favorite Jedi, Han Solo favorite
Yeah.
character. And what is it about Han Solo that makes you put him at the top of the list?
Oh man, because he's every dude's fantasy person to be. You know what I mean? He lives by his own code. He does what he wants. He steals from who he wants from. Like him and his best friend are just they're just in it to win it, and they don't give a who gets in the way.
All right. I'm going to ask you real quick. Where do you stand on Solo as a movie?
I actually like Solo a lot. I think it's I'm not saying it's a very good movie. I think it's one of the most fun Star Wars movies. It's just fun. It's like a space Indiana Jones. It's kind of fun. I don't know. I like it that it doesn't have the burden of the Skywalker-ness on it. It's just a kind of like skids out and does its own thing. I think it's definitely like, you know, it definitely has its moments that admire it, of course, because it's but look at the upbringing it had. It turned out to be a good kid.
How good could it possibly
just the
have been?
fact it made it to the cinemas is something really impressive.
He had a rough
in itself.
childhood, but you know what? He's okay. He's okay now. He found God.
I agree.
All right.
I agree with you. It doesn't have the burden of the Skywalker family line and saga really weighing it down, but it does have the burden of Harrison Ford himself, I think, weighing it down. And I maybe one of these days I'll really find a way to open up my heart to Alden Ehrenreich's Han Solo. But to me, there is only one Han Solo, and that's Harrison freaking Ford.
I know.
You know,
That's
I can't get around it.
All right. All right, Chris, we've been to the light side. We're gonna have to get it a little bit dark in here, okay? So I will ask you, who or what is your least favorite Star Wars character? Your least favorite, one you'd never care to see again.
DJ from the last yeah. Give me the fucking keys, fucking cocksucker. He's like the same character. Like, I don't need it. I don't want it. He's just Benicio del Toro doing something weird with his voice.
The thing that kills me about him is that, you know, he's one of those real methody type actors, and he couldn't just get on the screen and do Benicio del Toro. He's like, no, this guy's got to have a thing. He's got to have something. You know, it's like when Brando shoved the cotton in his cheeks. You know, he's like, just get up. So I think that was sort of like his Brando moment. He was really gonna make this character his own, but it just got in the way.
His performance in playing the lawyer, what the hell's his name? Oscar Zeta Costa in the
he's a phenomenal actor. I
can't think of the goddamn movie. Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, the Hunter S. Thompson movie.
Yeah.
His performance is out of control. You ever see that movie?
He's a great actor. He's a great actor, but you don't have to pull out all those stops when you're in a Star Wars movie. You know, it's like it's kind of like what Jack Nicholson said to Michael Keaton on the set of the '89 Batman. He said, "Kid, just let the makeup do the acting." So
he really said that?
You know, Jack did a lot of that. Jack really came through a lot of that makeup, though. I think that's kind of simplification. You know, that's Nicholson simplifying things. But I'll tell you what, I personally love Benicio. When I saw him in Sicario, that came out right around the same time it was announced he was going to be in episode 8, and I was like, oh my God, Benicio is the greatest. But it was an odd choice they made with his character, and his character kind of just came and went with the wind. It didn't really have any impact on anything other than he turned in.
A little louder.
That's him warming up on the set there.
That's just a warm-up.
Getting ready to play DJ.
You know,
a little louder.
Blame him because you got how many other people telling him, this is good, do it.
No, it's Ryan Johnson's actually giving him a neck massage while he's doing that warm-up. It was a collaboration No question about it.
Oh my!
Well, that's a good answer, and it's so unfortunate because, as we've mentioned, Benicio del Toro is a fine actor, a great actor.
I love the guy, hate the character.
Yeah.
For sure. There he is. In case you've forgotten what he looks like. This dude.
Why are you doing this to me? God,
actually-
look at that
I can
fight.
get you right up into Snoke's boudoir.
Come on.
He said that. That was a line from a Star Wars movie. Snoke's boudoir. That was a line, an actual line of dialogue from a Star Wars movie.
That's a good name for a punk band.
Snoke's boudoir.
Or maybe we'll
Wars punk
rename
band.
Rebel Force Radio. We're going to rename Rebel Force Radio Snoke's Boudoir. The
Yeah, the Snoke's boudoir cast is probably already on iTunes somewhere. All right, Chris.
There's an action
podcast
figure. There is an
Super
action
Live
figure of DJ. Oh, I'm
Yes.
sorry.
Oh, there is?
What's that, Chris?
I was saying, speaking of my podcast is named Super Live Adventure. That's a Lucas deep cut.
That absolutely is. That was the name of
my best
the.
friend John Zaluga. Yeah, it was.
That
He
was the
did. It
name
was
of
a
the-
live show. It was a Japanese live show with Willow and Tucker and Star Wars and American Graffiti and Indiana Jones, and it's like.
It was only shown in Japan.
Bonkers.
Yeah.
Oh, was that when he was? That's Beardless George when he was doing those Japanese commercials and doing the photo, the camera commercials and stuff. Yeah, what a strange era. Yeah, that was when we all thought that the Japanese were going to take over the world. As kids in like the 80s, we thought that was what was.
Oh yeah, 100%. That was they kind of did with Nintendo.
Well, George thought so.
Kind of did.
He was hedging his bets there. They're going to do some commercials. All right. So, what is your favorite, Chris, Baby Belushi? What is your favorite Star Wars line? The line of dialogue from Star Wars. It is your favorite. You never get tired of hearing it.
Oh fuck. That's it. Just fuck.
I don't remember that line.
It's when Padme's like, Annie, I'm pregnant. He's like, fuck. That's my favorite line. No, I don't.
It's real subtle. You can barely make it out.
Oh God, it's so hard. That's another one.
That's another. Yeah, that was Leia, I think.
That's impressive, most impressive. I guess because I say that a lot, though.
Oh well, I mean, if it's your favorite line, if it's something you use all the time.
I don't know if it's a favorite. Yeah, that's I just say that like when my kids do something, and
Yeah, that's great.
Well, it really does that. That line does show a side of Vader that we're seeing a lot in this Kenobi series, which is, I've been comparing him to a cat, with a mouse, just kind of.
Oh,
we see him with Obi-Wan in their that confrontation, and then with the with Reva, the third sister, just playing with him because he knows he's always got the upper hand, and that most impressive is just he's just testing him, just seeing what he has.
I love it so much because think like, what else does Vader get to do at his time? This is his only form of entertainment. Vader's got nothing else. This is like what he lives for. He's like, God damn, give me something to f up. Give me something to rip. I want to rip a ship apart. I'm going to rip a ship apart. That's what I'm doing. I'm Vader.
Oh my goodness.
Go for it, man. Go for it. I'm happy.
Yeah, what else does he have to do? I mean, next to Palpatine, he's the most powerful being in the universe, or one of them.
Stare out a window. That's all he's got.
Stares out a window, sits in his throne, hangs in the back to tank. Yeah, he needs something to break up that monotony. No question about it. No question about it. Do a little field work with the Inquisitors, snap some necks.
Yes.
What do you think about all that violent Vader we've been seeing in Kenobi?
I love it because you still got that raw, like last time we see Anakin was Order 66. He's killing kids and trying to kill his master. He's going apeshit. And then, like, this is still that rawness. He's not like...
Oh, sorry about that. That's what it's like to hang out with DJ, just all of a sudden.
A little louder.
A little louder. You hear Johnson there going, a little louder. It's a little collaboration.
Terrifying. Terrifying. But yeah, he's like he I wouldn't say he mellowed out. He's more calm and composed later on, but you still got that raw Anakin where like. You know what I mean? Like his burns probably still kind of even hurt a little. He's still reminded every day, like, oh my God. You know?
It was said in the past that the Vader armor does provide a certain amount of uncomfortable pain just putting it on.
Yeah, that was in the book. I remember that. Like, like when it came on, it like had like needle pinchers kind of almost poking into his face, and it talked about how clumsy he walked around. He was almost like a Frankenstein, like walking around in the thing, like
right.
Yeah, I remember
and you
that
actually
book.
see
That
in
was the
Kenobi,
Dino book, right?
Yeah, you see that chest plate is got needles or some sort of implants and tubes and spikes, and it gets pushed into his chest every time. And that leather just sits right on top of that charred skin with all of the scarring and the
imagine what he smells like. What does Vader smell like? Christ. Like a bag of hot dogs and a motorcycle glove. Like
it's canon.
All right. So, other than what is your least favorite Star Wars line? Is there a line of dialogue that every time you hear it, you just go cringe?
Oh, well, of course, the sand stuff.
I like the sand stuff. Because Lucas is making he's making an in-joke about shooting in Tunisia and how the cameras would all get messed up by sand getting lodged up in the works, and so he just put that in there as sort of an in-joke. It really is kind of a tribute to the history of Star Wars, but people can't get past it. They just look at it as clunky, weird dialogue. But I think George was like,
Hayden Christensen,
he was bemused.
That's some good insight.
Well, Hayden Christensen recently talked about that line. They brought it up to him in an interview, and he goes, I didn't have a problem with the line. He goes, I just, more or less had a problem with when he said it. It was a little awkward, like he's trying to flirt with this girl. Right.
Well, goes, sometimes we're grabbing at straws. Great. Sometimes we're grabbing at straws in those situations.
How much experience does the guy have? He's like a monk. He ain't getting laid. Like what? Yeah, I get it.
Well, yes, it's true. People expected. I think people expected Anakin Skywalker to be this smooth talking, swashbuckling lady killer. But his upbringing didn't really lend itself to that. He had kind of a weird growing up. The fact that he's as cool as he is by the time we meet him in Clone Wars, that's something.
Well, Clone Wars Anakin is his own thing. Clone Wars Anakin is cool as he's that dude is smooth.
Yes.
He's cool. I like him.
He's fantastic. So what's your least favorite line?
My least favorite, it's gotta be what's her name? Maz Kanata. That's a story for another time.
That's
that's brutal.
My least favorite because that's such a you like I'm not even gonna bother telling you now, and guess what, I ain't gonna fucking bother telling you anyway any other time. That's my least favorite.
That's an interesting
it's tough.
It's an interesting character. I mean,
it's been 7 years. It's been 7 years since The Force Awakens. And we still have nothing.
Nothing from Maz Kanata
about how she acquired Luke's lightsaber. I mean, come on.
You could drive a Star Destroyer through the plot holes of the sequel trilogy. I mean,
I hope the streaming series at some point does address that.
The Maz Kanata streaming series.
Well, here's a question.
Just any streaming series. God forbid we get a Maz Kanata.
Here's a question for you guys.
Space Years, like she runs it like it's like a comedy in a bar.
I would love that. I would love a variety show.
A variety, the holiday special,
right? It would be
the holiday special, exactly.
So, but here's a question when we talk about the sequel trilogy. I mean, a lot of people compare the reaction to the sequel trilogy to the reaction to the prequel trilogy, and here we are with Kenobi, and we're so nostalgic for it. Do you guys think that the sequel trilogy will eventually have a nostalgia wave, and people
talk about that,
giving standing ovations to Daisy Ridley and John Boyega at Star Wars Celebration, 2032?
I would have never said yes until I guess Celebration Chicago, the love that Ahmed Best got. I would have never said yes until I saw that, and I was like, people are like fucking going nuts for Jar Jar Binks right now. This is crazy. I was like, I never thought I'd see that in my lifetime.
Yeah, well, obviously we've seen a lot of prequel love reveal itself over the last few years, and it was that times 20 in Anaheim. I felt
without a doubt.
I was at the Kenobi world premiere, and I noted that when DJ Elliott was shouting out at the crowd, "What's your favorite?" The original trilogy, place went nuts. Prequel trilogy, I noted a louder reception.
Yeah.
Sequel trilogy, a little more toned down. But I was thinking about this recently, and for the longest time, I was like, nobody's going to have nostalgia for the sequel trilogy like they do for the original and the prequels, because it just seems all so slapped together. It lacks the integrity of George Lucas's guiding hand. It appears to have shattered the fan base to the core, where nobody is in any agreement on it. At least in the day, there used to be prequel haters and prequel lovers. Now it's like it's such a thing with the sequels. But I was thinking about all of this, and the thing that really made me say, wait, there is going to be sequel trilogy nostalgia. You know how I know? Is because I was standing at my door on October 31st for a number of years when little kids marched up dressed as Rey, dressed as Kylo Ren, dressed as Captain Phasma. All of those kids, I mean, that's a moment, you know. You never forget things like Halloweens from your childhood. And that fuels so much nostalgia that, I mean, all those kids who are dressing up are going to come back around and tell us how great the sequel trilogy is. And then maybe there's going to be occurrences where there'll be additions to the mythology that bolster the status of the sequel trilogy, much like the way the Clone Wars bolstered the status of the prequel trilogy.
Yeah, and there's always a gateway into Star Wars for somebody, and for a lot of kids, it's gonna be that sequel trilogy, and they may go on to be like, oh, the other stuff is so much better, but they will always have that like first love. You know, you always got your first love. You never give up,
and it's not necessarily your best love. Right?
No,
it's not always
never
your best love, but it's your
first
love.
love's never your best love. You can't. Never.
Yeah.
But
Jim, that's a great point you bring up about the Halloween and the costumes, because if you loved a character enough to dress up like him, chances are it made a huge impression on you. And let's not forget, guys, that when, before The Mandalorian appeared, or actually premiered, we'd heard that it was going to lay track to show how the First Order began. It was going to really explore the origins of the First Order. So far, we haven't really seen it. There's been perhaps hints, with the clones and things like that, and but it hasn't been overt. They haven't hit us over the head with it. But one last question for you, Chris, to round out the Yoda questionnaire, which, and I'll say you're always welcome back here on Rebel Force Radio. But one last question to fill out this is, if there was a new Star Wars movie to be made, and you were cast in it, and George Lucas was directing, what would you like to hear the maker say to you as he hollers, "Cut" on your last scene?
Faster, more intense.
I don't think that's possible for a guy like you. Maybe the faster part, certainly not more intense.
I'm surprised your answer, Chris, wasn't we're on a mission from God. or even better, over? Did you say over? Nothing is over until we decide it is.
Yeah.
Oh man! Well, you've proven to be exactly what we'd hoped. So thank you very much for hanging with us.
I am really happy, Chris. You came up to me on the show floor, and then we got to bump into you on that Saturday night leaving, and you really put your money where your mouth is. I was half joking when I said, "Why don't you go grab a beer can and crush it on your head?" And off you went, man.
Yeah,
on a mission. You know, this was a Jedi going through the trials right in front of us, and it was very exciting. And we're definitely going to have to spend more quality time together in the future, because as far as I'm concerned, you, sir, are a member of the RFR family. As a matter of fact, you're the guy I always picture listening to the show. You know, there's always this one guy you kind of have this vague picture of who's listening to the show.
Just
Baby Belushi is that guy, man.
The weird thing is, he was picturing you before he even knew you existed. That's what's so crazy about it.
That's it.
The Force, man. That's how it works.
You're the chosen one.
All right, man. Well, it's been a.
Oh wait, we can't let Chris go.
Oh, we've got a clip.
We got a clip.
Yes,
Chris. You mentioned your artwork earlier in the show, and you've actually forged that into a career, and you work in some graphic design on television shows like Impractical Jokers.
Yeah. I'm a freelance that gets to work on the show periodically, like since season 5. So like when you see like products that they're selling and stuff like that, a lot of times it's my artwork is on there. Like there's a lot of like weird little things that people love. People get in touch with me, you know, like, "Oh my God, you did that design." I'm like, yeah. They find out, they go to my website, pizzaplasm.com. That's my website. You can find it, you find all my artwork there. But so working through the show, one day I get a call and they're like, "Hey, can you want to come to set and pee on Sal?" I'm like, all right. So like I'm part of an infamous punishment from last season 8. It's like, you can find on YouTube. Like,
we got
Impractical Jokers.
We got it right here. Let's watch, because I haven't seen this yet. So let's watch together. Here it is from Impractical Jokers.
Tell me which one of you is peeing on me.
Well, it's not us. We hired an a cappella group to pee on you.
And here's Chris is walking up as part of this a cappella group.
We hired
an a cappella group to pee on you.
I don't know why.
There he is. Baby Belushi.
Our friend Chris is in an a cappella group?
No. But he's the only one that would pee on you.
Let's do this. I've been holding it for a while. I can't believe this. This is crazy. This is freaking insane.
So there it is. He stands right next to Sal.
I needed help. I'm getting help.
He's got it's happening.
Give me a chance. Go down below the knee. Down.
Like Belushi in Animal House in his opening scene.
Below the knee.
I'm a deer.
What are we doing?
This is a steady stream. Yeah, it's a steady stream. The barbershop quartet is singing.
Yeah, like
he's got to give it a little bounce, a little shake.
Let me tell you,
Brilliant.
man, I drank. So they were trying to get somebody to actually pee on him as the punishment. He supposedly got stung by a stingray and had to get somebody to pee on him. And I was more or less like a standby, but I knew it would come down to it. So I'm hanging out. This is in Coney Island, Brooklyn. And we're at the top of a restaurant. They're filming on the beach. And there's like guys just giving me food. And they're like, "You can have whatever you want." I was like, "Anything I want?" Like, yeah. I was like, "Bring me Heinekens, 2 at a time." So I'm double fisting. I drank like 11 fucking beers. And then I grabbed Joe Gatto and I'm like, "I gotta piss. You gotta make this happen right now." And while I'm doing that, I'm drunk and like doing my best to hold my piss in.
And singing barbershop quartet tunes.
Yeah, which I'm not even like a good singer.
Well, that's hilarious. That's hilarious, man. You're a man of many talents, and
I'm all
we're
over
really
the
happy
place.
to meet you. So the Ghostbusters podcast is called what?
Oh no, it's not a Ghostbusters. It's just a comedy podcast. Super live
well, even
adventure.
better. Super live adventure.
Yeah. It's just everything.
Why am I thinking Ghostbusters has something to do with it?
Oh, because all right, I'm doing a project because I'm a big Ghostbusters guy. I'm doing a project called Real Ghostbusters. It's REEL Ghostbusters, and I'm actually redrawing scenes from the first movie with characters from the cartoon, but I make it look like the old cartoon, like it looks like an old.
Oh wow! I love that.
Yeah, you could go to realghostbusters.com. It's REEL Ghostbusters. And it's like a weird passion project, but it kind of got blown up. Like ghostbustersnews.com like talked about me a couple of times and it blew me up. It got me a lot of
it's REEL? Okay.
Yeah, like a film reel. You
Yes.
remember the cartoon was called The Real Ghostbusters?
Right.
Because there was the other Ghostbusters with the gorilla. It was like a whole thing. Like,
there was some sort of legal fight over the name.
Yeah, it's some kind of stupid Ghostbusters stuff. But yes, I do that on the side. But the podcast is completely different. The podcast is just comedy. I do it with John Zaluga. He's my best friend. He's my comedy partner for over 20 years. He's a writer on Impractical Jokers. We got hired completely separately, which is weird. We just happen to live on Staten Island. Excuse me. There's a little Staten Island salute.
Every time you say Staten Island, you have to punctuate it with.
I gotta find this, Chris. Not to belabor the point. Okay, maybe this is it. I think I got it right.
Oh, no, sorry. RealGhostbusters.net. I'm such a
okay.
I said .com. It's RealGhostbusters.net. What a dick. This guy. Why do you have this guy on your show?
Oh, here we go. Oh, check this out. Okay.
Yeah, so that's like I recreated the poster. I do like all different scenes at random. I'm going to throw it together in a book and try to publish it till Sony sues me. But
can we see more of this on the site here? Other than the poster, so where do we go? We click next.
Down there, you see the bottom right? Yeah.
Oh, dude, this is now you're speaking because I like to, love the Real Ghostbusters cartoon. Came out at the right time for me. And
I'm obsessed with it. So you see what I'm trying to do here. Yeah.
Absolutely, dude.
It's a passion project, but it got me a lot of notoriety in that community, which is cool. I love the Ghostbusters community. I have a proton pack. I got a flight suit. I'm a maniac person.
And I got to tell you what, man, when that Garfield live action movie came out, I felt like I was the only one on the planet that recognized the fact that it was the original voice, and his voice is escaping me. The original voice of Venkman, Lorenzo Music from the Mary Tyler Moore Show. I think that's what it was. He did the voice of Garfield the cat forever. And then he passed away. He also did he was the original voice of Venkman on The Real Ghostbusters.
Peter Venkman, the first 2 seasons, and then Dave Coulier
replaced him, and I always thought it was a big shame.
Bill Murray impression.
Yeah, he did kind of
like a Carl Spackler.
Right. It was, and I really loved the Lorenzo Music version, to be honest with you. That's what I loved. And
back and like
was he the sleepy voice guy?
The sleepy voice guy. Yeah. Oh yeah. But he so when it came time to do that Garfield movie, when they chose Bill Murray, I like jumped out of my skin. I just thought, oh my God, I immediately thought of Real Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
And like everyone was like, what are you talking about? But anyway, that's cool.
No,
man. Real Ghostbusters, REEL Ghostbusters.net. Check it out. It's like the original film reimagined with the style of the Real Ghostbusters. Very cool stuff, man. Well, you are just full of surprises. I'm telling you, this has been a great time.
If you guys ever, I know you guys have artists that work on the show, but if you ever need anything, let me know. I'd love to hook you guys up anytime.
Oh, we'd love it.
Anytime you are hit with inspiration.
Yeah, all right.
Pass it along. It along.
All right. I'm gonna do something cool for you guys.
We would be honored, my friend. Chris Sorrentino, what a great guy! So what a fortuitous meeting we had in Anaheim. I mean,
like I said, will of the Force, brother.
Yeah, will of the Force. We love you, Baby Belushi. We love you, Galactic Pluto.
Love you too, man.
All right, we'll catch you again, Chris. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, anytime, guys. Thank you.
Chewie, get us out of here!
Oh, that's going to do it for us this week on Rebel Force Radio. Thank you all so much for being here. Appreciate it very much. If you like more Rebel Force Radio in your life, and why wouldn't you? Just go over to rebelforceradio.com. That's the official website. And click on that Patreon banner. You'll see it over on the right-hand side, and boom, you'll get taken where you can sign up for Patreon, Rebel Force Radio Patreon. There's multiple levels. You can get involved at whatever membership level that you feel is appropriate for you, and take advantage of all the benefits. There's lots of benefits, including exclusive podcasts, the weekly full show video. So as we were talking to Baby Belushi, if you're dying to see him as we're talking to him, you can do that if you're an all access member, so you can get a chance to watch the podcast that you're listening to right now. Plus, at other levels, there are exclusive podcasts like RFR Q&A, the Babu Freaks, Clone Wars Declassified, Remastered, the Filoni Files, archive highlights, and so much more. You can also jump to the head of the queue, and we do our Rebel Force Radio after shows for the various Star Wars series. You'll find out if you listen to last week's episode, we were jumping all over the place, making sure that those Patreon listeners were getting on and being able to ask their questions. So it's a great community. Some of the greatest Star Wars fans in the galaxy, and all those details can be found at patreon.com/Rebel Force Radio. Also, check out our YouTube channel. Oh, yeah. YouTube.com/Rebel Force Radio. It's the exclusive home for the after shows that we do. So you can always be sure that you'll catch the after shows if you are a subscriber, and you get that notification bell checked. Then next time we go live, you'll get notified about 30 minutes before we go live, and then right as we go live. It's great. Also, there's a ton of archives there, classic interviews. We talked about just a moments ago about talking to various Star Wars celebrities over the years. A lot of those interviews are there on YouTube. Parodies, bits, classic RFR moments. Check it out. Rebel Force Radio on YouTube. If you'd like to talk to us in between shows, we'd love to hear from you. You can email us, show@rebelforceradio.com. You can also leave us a voicemail at 708-320-1737, 708-320-1RFR. We're on the socials, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, so please follow us on there as well. And the official website, as stated before, for all things and everything Rebel Force Radio, rebelforceradio.com. But if you want to support the show, the best way to do it is just keep listening and spread the word. Tell your friends. You got that Star Wars friend in the office? Ask them, do you ever listen to Rebel Force Radio? They go, Rebel Force what? It's a podcast. I listen to it every week. You got to check it out. So please subscribe. Please review. We love to have those reviews. We read them all. And I mean all of them. The good, the bad, mostly the good, because we only have one rule.
Make them good.
And we are streaming 24/7 at places like Apple Podcasts, iHeart, TuneIn, Spotify, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Amazon, Audible, Pandora, Samsung, anywhere you can find podcasts, you'll find us right here at Rebel Force Radio. You'll find us here next week with the last Obi-Wan Kenobi after show, at least for this season. But don't worry. We've got Bad Batch Season 3. We've got Andor coming up. We've got Mandalorian Season 3. I mean, we're not slowing down with the after shows. Yeah, Grogu. I predict that Grogu's going to get himself a Mando helmet. I think that we're going to see that happen. It's going to have the little cutouts for the ears.
Yeah. I think Grogu likes how this is sounding too. I think he's very down with this whole idea.
Look at him. We got Grogu right here. See, you got to be an RFR Patreon All Access member to see this kind of stuff. Look at that. Oh, it's like I can touch him. He looks so real.
Yeah, well, he's really excited for Season 3 of Mandalorian, and he says, "Give me that helmet. Give me that helmet with holes on the side, and I'm good."
All right, we'll see you next time. Love you all so much for Rebel Force Radio. I'm Jason.
I'm Jimmy Mack.
And remember,
the Force will be with you, always.